The words hit Sevyn hard. His heart pounded, and disbelief and anger burned in his cheeks. He gripped the phone until his knuckles hurt, his voice shaking with emotion. "Unbelievable," he managed. "Someone killed my wife in our own bed, in the home we built, and you're saying that without an alibi I'd be your main suspect? That's—" He stopped, struggling not to cry. "That's terrifying. You'd lock me up in a second for something I didn't do." The tension was thick, a mix of grief, fear, and anger that made the silence on the line stretch on. "Listen here, kid," Detective Knight said, his tone a little softer as tiredness showed in his voice. He leaned back in his chair, which creaked, and rubbed his nose. "Your wife's death and your kid's disappearance are unlike anything I've seen. The forensic team carefully checked your house. They collected everything, dusted every surface, and took every print. The only DNA there was yours and hers." He shook his head, frustration evident in his voice. "We checked every camera on your street and nearby, neighbors, businesses, even traffic cams. Nothing showed up. I want to catch whoever did this as much as you do, but I can't work miracles. If you think you could do better, maybe you should try being a cop." He let out a sigh, the line quiet except for his tired voice. "Good night, Mr. Wayne. I wish I had better news. I really do. But for now, there's nothing new to tell you." The call ended with a dull click. Sevyn lowered the phone and stared at it, hoping for better news. Despair settled over him, making it hard to breathe. His shoulders dropped, and the room felt smaller as the lamplight flickered over the photo of his wife and child. The silence was heavy, echoing his pain and making the detective's words repeat in his mind. Every unanswered question and cold lead felt like another blow to his hope. Alone in the dim light, Sevyn cried quietly, feeling helpless. Frustrated and feeling empty at the thought of Valentina's case being forgotten, Sevyn went to her makeshift vigil in a narrow, empty alley. The spot was a small shrine. Wilted daisies and roses crowded in chipped vases, their petals brown at the edges, and the air smelled of fading flowers. Melted candle wax ran down empty wine bottles and pooled on the cracked concrete. Old photos of his wife and child, their smiles faded by rain and time, were taped to the graffiti-covered wall. Each gust of wind made the candle flames shake, their shadows moving across the painted bricks. Sevyn leaned against the wall, feeling the cold bricks through his coat, and opened a battered bottle of bourbon. He took a drink, the liquor burning his throat and warming him, but it couldn't touch the cold ache in his chest. The sounds of the city, horns and festival drums, seemed distant, muffled by his grief. In the dim light, sorrow weighed on him. The pain inside Sevyn burst out as a raw scream that echoed off the alley walls and startled a flock of pigeons from a rain gutter above. For a moment, everything went quiet, the world pausing in the wake of his anguish. Candle flames flickered in the sudden breeze, and shadows moved along the walls. With shaking hands, Sevyn knelt in front of the battered photo, the bourbon bottle left beside him. Tears ran down his face as he pressed his forehead to the cold concrete and whispered a promise through clenched teeth. "I will find them, Valentina. I swear it. I'll make them pay, whatever it takes." The words tied him to her memory and his search for justice. Exhausted and drunk, he finally passed out, his determination still burning as he lost consciousness. Sevyn's uneasy sleep ended with a sudden crash as a bottle smashed against the wall, glass scattering across the alley. He woke up fast, adrenaline rushing through him. The vigil's flames flickered as a group of young men walked in, their faces hidden by bright Mardi Gras masks with purple, green, and gold feathers above painted sneers. Each step came with mocking, drunken laughter that echoed, making the scene feel more threatening. Leading them was a thin man in a gold skeleton mask. His cold blue eyes stared through the mask, and his sharp smirk looked dangerous. He bowed dramatically, his confidence making Sevyn uneasy. The wild energy of the city's celebration felt twisted here, turning dark and strange. "Well, well, well, what do we have here, boys? Today must be our lucky day," the leader sneered, his voice full of malice and mockery. He waved at Sevyn with a careless motion, treating him like he didn't matter. "Look at this blue gum, just waiting for someone to step on him." The group laughed, the sound sharp and mean, echoing off the alley walls. "Yeah, this jungle bunny looks pathetic," another said, stepping forward and poking Sevyn in the chest. His words were meant to insult and provoke, each one full of contempt. The anger in his voice made Sevyn's breath catch as he felt both shame and fury. "What do you think, guys?" a third man mocked, standing over Sevyn. "What should we do with this moon cricket? He looks so beaten down, I doubt he'll even fight back." His voice was low and mocking, trying to sound tough but full of malice. The others laughed, moving closer around Sevyn. The leader pointed at the candles and flowers, his voice cold. "Smash this pathetic shrine," he ordered, making a sharp gesture. He wanted to insult and erase the love and memories Sevyn had tried to protect. The men moved in, kicking over vases and scattering petals. Wax splattered, flames went out, and glass broke under their boots. Instead of breaking, Sevyn felt himself grow stronger. He pushed through his grief and the haze of bourbon, anger rising as he faced the threat. His love for Valentina gave him strength, helping him stand firm even as the world tried to crush him. Sevyn tried to shake off the numbness from the alcohol. He leaned against the wall, fists clenched as anger burned inside him, hotter than the whiskey. The laughter of his tormentors grated on him, making him more determined. He squared his shoulders and stood up, shaky but determined not to back down. Every muscle tensed, his jaw set in defiance. He would not let them control his fate or destroy the last traces of Valentina's memory. Suddenly, Sevyn was surrounded. The masked men closed in, blocking any way out. Strong hands grabbed his arms and twisted them behind his back as he struggled. Someone forced a grotesque purple mask over his face, the fabric reeking of sweat and cheap perfume. Before Sevyn could break free, a sharp pain hit his neck as steady hands pushed a needle in. Cold paralysis spread through his body in seconds, his limbs heavy as lead. His vision blurred, the alley spinning around him, and helplessness swept over him like a black tide. The gang moved quickly, blending into the swirling Mardi Gras crowds. Their laughter was lost in the beat of drums and brass. Sevyn, barely conscious, was dragged through the chaos of color and sound. His cries were muffled by the mask and drowned out by the celebration. No one noticed as he was loaded into the bed of a waiting Ford pickup. The truck stood out. Tennis balls bobbed on tall antennas. Confederate flags snapped in the humid breeze, and the tires were caked with mud, showing a life outside the law. The men climbed in, their masks now just part of the city's wild costumes. As the truck sped away, the bright celebration hid the darkness that had swallowed Sevyn, a warning of the fate waiting for him beneath the lights of Mardi Gras. Stepping into Mr. Abgel's funeral home was like crossing a threshold into a realm woven from secrets and memory, a sanctum where time moved sideways and magic hummed beneath your skin. The air shimmered with the scent of sandalwood and beeswax, laced with the papery breath of old tomes, each note a spell cast in silence. The foyer was a twilight labyrinth, its shadowed alcoves brimming with relics. Half museum, half mausoleum, wholly enchanted. Marble statues, an angel bowed in eternal sorrow, a jackal-headed sentinel, a maiden forever weeping, stood sentinel on their pedestals, their faces alive with candlelight that danced like restless spirits. The walls became a tapestry of centuries, Flemish weavings depicting paradise lost and found, splashes of modern color clashing with charcoal sketches etched by grief. Hallway cases glimmered with Venetian death masks, jeweled eyes sparkling beneath glass, flanked by amulets and prayer beads strung from forgotten prayers, ceremonial daggers etched with runes that caught the light like whispers, Books lined shelves in sagging ranks, their cracked spines and yellowed pages holding the ghostly weight of 1,000 stories. In a corner, the bones of extinct wonders, tiny dragons, horned birds, a saber-toothed grin, gleamed in spotlights, a menagerie sculpted from myth and memory. Every relic was curated with reverence, inviting visitors to stroll as though lost in a dream. The hush was cathedral deep, shattered only by the groan of ancient floorboards or the distant lament of a grandfather clock. Here, the line between museum and mausoleum blurred, a liminal haven for the living and the dead, where legends nested in every pocket of shadow. Down a spiraling stair and behind a door, heavy with secrets, Mr. Abgel's laboratory stretched, a warren of stone and silence, air thick with the scent of damp earth, old wood, and the sting of alchemy's craft. Green computer glow and the low hum of machines painted the dark corners where Mr. Abgel hunched at a battered workbench, white rum at his elbow, the surface cluttered with the strange architecture of science and sorcery, centrifuges, microscopes, and racks of vials trembling with potential. He'd spent a year unraveling the code, curled in Atasaya's monstrous DNA, a demon's legacy of stolen souls, each essence absorbed in a dark communion. His obsession birthed a marvel,